Welcome to Survival Theory. In early 2021, the tech giants initiated the social credit score, and everybody who voted a certain way or believed certain things, or they knew you had weapons, your score is reduced. Then they started coming for those people. So when the Imperial troops arrived, I had to head out into the woods for a few days. But luckily, I have a cache hidden back here. So I've got food. I don't need to risk going to the house. I can kind of lay low out here. So let's get to that cache. I'm hungry. What? Oh no. Oh no. Crap. So in June of 2020, I buried a cache out here in the woods. And I have a video on that. So I did that in June of 2020. I buried a cooler into the ground and it was sticking up a little bit. The top, was above the ground. And I checked on it a couple of times. Everything was fine. The last time I checked on it was early October, and everything was just fine, just the way I had left it in June. A couple of days ago, I checked it, and everything inside was soaking wet, a lot of contents damage, and there was a little bit of standing water in there. So what happened? Well, first let me show you the cache, how I buried this cooler, and then I'll explain what happened, and I'll show you the contents as well. So I had this all covered with debris, invisible. And the lid is above the level of the ground. And there was water in there, the contents were damaged. So what happened? Well, it wasn't condensation. Things will not condensate in this because it's mostly buried, and plus it's a cooler anyway. So it takes a long time for the temperature to change, preventing condensation. After a forensic analysis, what I discovered was basically it flooded. Now, I don't mean this area was underwater because I'm out of that kind of zone. However, we had rain for several days and the ground got soaked. And then we had a hard rain a couple days in a row. What happened is this debris started piling up around the perimeter, and it got higher and higher and higher. And what ended up happening was it allowed that debris to get about level with this lid. Then as the water settled in here, this was not high enough for that standing water to not go in there. So it flooded into it. So while this cache failed, all hope is not lost for this cache. What I'm going to do is put something under it, probably 1.5 to 2 inches high, and raise it up so that edge of the lid is not so close to the ground, so as water stands around it, it won't overflow through the lid because the lid is not waterproof. And I think that will solve the problem. I didn't anticipate that buildup of rainwater on the surface and collecting around the edges and flowing in. So what I'm going to do, I'll raise it up, and I'm going to put the contents in there differently so that if water does get in there again, it won't be so devastating. So to raise it up, expose all this. You can see all this fine debris that piled up around the edges over time, kind of getting washed up against it. So I'll camo this and cover it and put a log over it after I put the contents in again. So here's what was in the cache. Had a 30 round mag, some green tips, various ammo, had 59 millimeters in there. Now some of these, the ones in the magazine, they look like they're all right. There was water inside the magazine. I don't know if they're all right or not. And in this bag loose, I had all this. It mostly looks all right. Some of these look like a little wear and tear on there. Will they fire? I don't know. I assume they will, but I'm going to take them out on the range and I'll do a video on that using all this submerged ammo, see if it fires, including the 9mm. These boxes were soaking wet, got mandarin oranges, some peaches. Actually, look at that. These are leaking. This can is already leaked through. Yeah, that's syrup. So that can is gone in only a couple of weeks. Let's check these out. Pop-Tarts. Actually, they taste just fine. So we've got one leaking can of peaches. Taste tested the Pop-Tarts. They're just fine. I don't know if this ammo is any good. We'll find out later. The bars were just fine. Clothes were all right. Bottled water is just fine. So, let's repackage new contents and get it in the box. Now I brought everything inside, got it all cleaned up. Got the water off of it, dried it off. I disassembled these MRE packs and put the essentials in there. So I'll seal those up together. All these bars and oatmeal and all that, I've opened a bar, I opened an oatmeal, those are all just fine. They were sealed in the food saver bags. I threw a lot of the vegetable cans away because those steel cans were starting to rust and one of them was even leaking. But these tuna cans, take the wrapper off one of these. I think these are going to be just fine. Now what I did not show you earlier was I have some hand sanitizer in there, good for fire starting, cleaning your hands, whatever. There was a lighter in there, and it's working just fine. It was soaking wet, and I had some leather gloves in there, but they're dried out now. They smell okay. Also, I had this small through night flashlight in there, and the box was starting to rust, and the papers were wet, but the papers are dried out now. I put the battery in there and it's still working. So I'll put the battery and light back. I'll put this paper back. Good fire starter instructions. Or during the apocalypse I can get a warranty on it. Put all that back in there. So I've got everything pretty much sealed up now. I'll washed the bag up. So I'll put in all this tuna fish in the bottom. Put the bars in there. The MRE stuff in there. The ammo in there. Water. Sardines. 55-gallon trash bag. The lighters, flashlight, gloves, hand sanitizer, tea light, candle, some alcohol, put the clothes back in there. So I had some first aid stuff in a side pocket. I forgot about that. And these are all soggy. They're ruined. It was a few Band-Aids, a couple alcohol wipes, stuff like that. I don't really need that in here, so I'm just going to leave that out. I'm not going to replenish it. So now I'm back out here to put the stash back in the cache. And it poured down rain yesterday. I mean, poured down. It's making little rivers everywhere. So that'll be a good thing to check out at the cache to see whether or not there's any water inside of that. And because I raised it, I don't think the water will get inside there anymore. And it's dry as a bone inside. I brought some paper towels to kind of clean it out. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and leave this in here. I brought another rag. I'll just leave it right there in the bottom. And in goes the bag. And in addition to that bag, I'm going to put the 1 gallon of water back in there. Around here, water is very vital for a cache. So I've got enough room to put some more water in here. So next time I come out here, I'll probably put some more water in here. Yeah, it's a lot higher than it was. So I've got it concealed again. It's raised up. Hopefully that won't happen again. But I'll keep checking on it. And if something does happen to it, where it gets water in it again over the next year or so, I'll post it in the community forum to let you know. I probably won't make another video on it, but I think it'll be alright. So if you have a cache, check on it every once in a while to make sure your container and location is still secure. Now this was a container failure, but hopefully I've resolved the situation. And again, this wasn't a sealed container. I was just depending on water not to rise to the lid level. But that did happen, so I've raised it up. Hopefully that works from now on. I've got another cache. It's a good cache too, very valuable. And it is a location failure. I'm sure the containers are alright, but the location is a bust. So I've got to somehow retrieve these containers. That's going to be a very interesting experience. So keep an eye out for that one. Well, thanks for watching Survival Theory. Please share, like. There's a spider right in front of the lens. Can you see it? Thanks for watching Survival Theory. Please share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.